Because we share. Because we share.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Tom, before you leave, I like that. I'm going to do this, and you should do it because Cheryl said so. I'm going to try that on a change record. On the change record, it has, why are we making the change? Because Cheryl said so. I like that. So I spent the last year off and on, kind of, not necessarily moving a data center, but picking up the workload, moving it somewhere else, and setting it back down. So what we had is two Z10s at the site that I live at, a Z196 and a new EC12 at a third site. So we're doing a little bit of a shell game where site 2 is moving to site 3, and 1 and 2 backed each other up. So after we do that, then 3 has to be converted for the backup for 1 and it becomes 1 and 3 backing those guys up. Yeah, that's how blondes think. We have Hitachi VSP DASD at all 3 sites. It's replicated. There isn't quite enough for shadow image. So that was a challenge for us. And a 7720 VTL grid, which actually was hugely helpful. So there's just a little picture of where we're at before and where we were at after. Something I like to advise everybody is to trust your highly paid consultant. So this is the conversation that happened between me and my manager. How long, and this isn't a meeting, by the way. We're not going to do this in quiet. We're going to do this right in the meeting with everybody else around. How long is it going to take? 6 hours. What do you base that on? 25 years of experience, a lot of cutovers, you know. I think it'll be 2. Alrighty then. How long was it, everybody? 6. It's a little more than 5.5, but pretty dang close. And the point here is, do you want to be a hero and come in under budget, or do you want to look like an idiot and come in 3 hours over? That's your choice. So the timeline planning, once we got another month down the road, did end up being 6 hours. The outage was 5.5. There wasn't a whole lot to do on the night of cutover. We had some, since we went to the EC12 and we were sharing it with another person, there was a lot more DASD than we were used to, so we had to bump up SQA in load XX. We had some console changes because also sizing issues. We had a lot more OSAs to play with, so we did some changes around there. But basically that night we shut down test, and then we shut down prod. We stopped the replication. We brought up a one-pack system. You could have done this from the Storage Navigator, which is the little client that facilitates stuff in Hitachi, but we ended up running a job just because it's a lot less clicky clicks. HUR is Hitachi Universal Replicator. They were able to do a pair create with copy none because everything had already been sent over and then was caught up afterwards. We IPL'd the production LPARs, and then we IPL'd the test LPARs. Can anyone tell me why? Okay. In between the network time, the network guys down the hall removed the natting and started. Did you know that you can't just like have a firewall and remove the natting? You now have to start advertising the routes. And you have to wait like 30 minutes till they get all around your country. We IPL'd production first because it didn't really matter if tests worked, if production didn't work. And everything was back at the other data center. So as long as we had production working, we knew that we could somehow or other get test working. So that was actually to save 15 minutes, right? So when we brought it up, network it was all about the network. I was like a person going to the electric chair. I mean, I was resigned to my fate. It's going to be a long night. The network guys are going to screw up. There's not much I can do about that. I've done everything I can, tried to explain to everyone I can, and now I'm just going to the electric chair to take my medicine. But it actually turned out being okay. We did turn the system over to application, what we call owners. So these are like a big C customer versus a little c customer, and they pretty much know their applications. I can't test a WebSphere. I don't know what to bring up. I don't even know where the JCL is. They do all of that. And then we made a go, no-go decision before the FDR backups. And the plan was, you know, most of the night then we would stay there and fight fires. And I would love to have a fire to explain to you, because that's kind of what we do in the Bitbucket is we caution you against this might happen and that might happen. And it was really good. It really was. I think we've come a long way. So in hindsight, the question about how long the outage will be was a big debate. We had a lot of meetings on that. Testing plans were something I know nobody wants to do, but I actually spent a whole lot of time on testing plans, and now I have them, and they're easy replicatable, so when we put maintenance on 2.1, about 6 weeks ago, I'm able to run through, I have a whole data set now with all the test jobs, run through all the jobs, put the output in a PDS, compare the outputs, keep the outputs ongoing so that I can say, well, this worked on this date, kind of thing. So I'm a big fan of those now. I also did a lot of, because I don't trust the network people, as you can tell, I did a lot of displays, the NetStat connection display, and kept all that stuff from like the night before, the week before, and then compared it to day of kind of thing. Are you starting to think I'm a little OCD, aren't you? Yeah. The before and after syslogs were actually a problem too. We have not IPL'd that system yet. We cut over May 30th. We did IPL a test system, and there were some things that happened, and again, it was all new to us, but we weren't sure if this is something that normally happens or is this a problem. So I wish I would have had more syslogs for that. Oh, and by the way, in their infinite wisdom, WebExes are blocked from midnight to 6 a.m. Because, Lord knows, Russian WebExes always happen between midnight and 6 a.m., right? I don't know. So we did increase the number of generations for syslog. We also added in some things for a monthly and a yearly syslog to keep. We moved our operations, and unfortunately, we were 2 weeks delayed. We were going to go May 15th, and we ended up going May 30th. So by that time, again, in their infinite wisdom, management had gotten rid of all the operators. We won't need them after May 15th. And we kept saying, we're probably not going to make that. We're probably not going to make that. So May 11th, we're not going to make that. And they finally accepted that, but the operators were gone. So we had to do the IPLs, and that's another part of what came in with us, as far as system programmers looking at a normal IPL. And it's going really fast, and you have to look and see, is this normal? Is this not? BCPII failed. Is that normal? Yes, I haven't set it up on that LPAR, that kind of thing. So run your batch job with the output commands that you want to do. Keep that from before and after, and I use DISP to do that. We also now have better dock for recovering our consoles because I love those network guys. This network is in a more formal site, whereas the other one, pretty much, we had our own little subnet that we kept things on, and it stayed up. So that's not the way things work now. There's another network, and it doesn't stay up. It bounces. Even they say it's not going to be an outage or it's just going to be a blip. Well, if it's a blip, the console's going to go. Possibly the HMC is going to reboot if it's a power blip. So we're getting better now, and it's sad, isn't it, that we've come to the point where we're actually going backwards, we're regressing, in that we have to plan for more outages. And then we had an issue with 30 days of tapes, but it ended up being good for us because the tape guy went through and was able to document all of the durations of his tapes. With this grid thing, we weren't sure how long it was going to take for all of our tapes to catch up. And he found out that basically 98% of our tapes are 30-day retention or less. So we figured we were safe after 30 days, and that 2-week delay came in really handy there because we might not have made it. We would have had to wait another 2 weeks, but since we were delayed, we got the 30 days in and everything had gotten replicated. And then I just wanted to add a slide about how to get TSO disk because I'm such a big fan of it. And it's actually, oh, I can't use the death thing. There's actually several of them out there. Mark Zeldin sent me an email right away and said, well, they can use mine. Yeah, and Lionel has one, and there's another one out here that just kind of captures the output of your command. That way you can page for it forward and backward in a NetStat command or whatever.